Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on. Hello. Welcome to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
We're so happy that you could join us once again or for the first time. Either way, thank you.
Yeah, it's always exciting to have people to share our stories with and check in with. It's really cool to be able to connect with people that we meet in our travels and in our classes and just share. I feel like people get really into some of our stories sometimes, but then they don't get a chance to remember all the details in person. So it's cool that we can share our stories here in this little podcast area.
Stories are the one thing that really keeps our knowledge going. Because through stories, we have learned to do so many things, and storytelling is just so important. More important than I realize sometimes.
Definitely. I think storytelling is definitely something that needs to be done more. We used to do it a lot more when we didn't have as many distractions. In some senses, like we did it more by word of mouth and traditions were shared by storytelling. I feel like storytelling is still really important, though. I know more people's story because I can listen to people's podcasts and read their Facebooks. And it's like you can know so many more people's entire lives by just what they share.
Definitely. In the Celtic tradition, at the end of the day, the family would come to the hearth of the home, the fireplace, and they would sit around the fire and share their stories from their day. And then some of the elders would also share stories of the past, and they would share tales and myths, but also real stuff.
I think that's why it was so important for so many generations to eat dinner together too. And like it's still very important for many families. I don't think nearly enough people sit down and like eat dinner and have a conversation anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like TV. I know I grew up in a kitchen that had a TV and the news on all the time. We didn't even have as many like conversations, and I think sometimes it like was a good distraction from like any sort of drama, because when people start to share their stories, sometimes other people get triggered. There's been a lot of triggers in society recently. But sharing your story and really just embracing who you are and having people acknowledge that is so important. I love storytelling in like the spiritual sense and in the learning sense and the community sense. Like today I led a meditation, and my favorite part was hearing people's stories afterwards about what their experiences were like, and letting them know that like I not only heard them, but like I interpreted them and wanted them to feel acknowledged.
Make them think about it. Well, you talked about people eating dinner with the TV on, and I've experienced it before, but I think coming together to eat together and sharing is important. And maybe if you want to be sporadic and you just watch a movie, that's fine. I think it's important though if you're trying to avoid something that you feel like you have to do or you have to talk about, you want to put the TV on because you want to avoid an awkward conversation that will have to be brought up at some point anyway. I think avoiding that isn't very healthy, but if it's just to have a moment, I think that's okay.
Right. I mean, you can definitely watch TV and things like that too, but storytelling, there's something about storytelling and sharing your story with others that can be inspiring. I know some people have a hard time listening to people tell stories about themselves. They seem to think it's like narcissistic or something like that. But I think if you can listen to somebody's story, you can learn so much about them.
Yeah, you just need to be a balance between sharing your story and being open to hearing other people's stories.
Definitely. I love hearing your stories about how you've traveled all over the country and even to like Hawaii and things like that, which is still part of the country, but like it's a very interesting, adventurous tale.
It's so far away, it doesn't feel like it's part of the country. It's really it's almost sad in a way to see how America has really fudged up Hawaii.
Oh yeah, tell us a story. Let's hear a little bit about your Hawaii story.
Okay, so I'm in Hawaii and I'm at the airport waiting for somebody that didn't end up coming. And while I was there, I saw a flyer that had a Celtic festival. And
Hawaii?
Yeah, in Hawaii. It was a Scottish festival.
So most people are going to Hawaii to get like island time and lays. Selo's going to have a Celtic experience.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It was the first time I had seen anything about it. And it was about 8 miles away. And I didn't have any money or a way to get a ride. I didn't have a car or anything. So I was going to walk. And I started walking from the airport, hitchhiked a little bit, walked a lot of bit, and ended up making it to where the festival was. And this was in Honolulu, which is a very, very touristy city. Super touristy. It doesn't look like Hawaii. It looks like America. Right?
Well, I mean, it is part of America.
Yeah, but it's just so commercialized.
Like it's so you're on the island.
Commercialized. It's like overbearingly commercialized. Just hundreds and hundreds of people just buying the same stuff they could buy in America.
So you're in Hawaii. You're going for this. What was your purpose to go to Hawaii? Were you going on a spiritual experience?
Spiritual experience.
Going to Hawaii for a spiritual experience.
It was something that the major group of me and my group of the lost season, we all decided to go on this adventure to these very specific places. And Mount Shasta was one of them. I'd say Mount Shasta was number 2, but Hawaii was number 1. And I was the only one who made it to Hawaii. And so it was just like, I didn't go there for anything specific, just to go.
Spirit basically led you there.
I was getting signs, getting so many signs to go to Hawaii through the trip.
So Spirit led you to Hawaii. You were supposed to meet someone, they didn't come. So you started having your spiritual experience. You found a Celtic festival that was in this city that didn't feel like Hawaii because it was basically like being in a huge city. So what else about Hawaii? Tell us more about your spiritual journey through Hawaii and how you felt disconnected there.
Just in that part of the city was just so touristy. That was Honolulu. It's very beautiful, but just there. But the festival was amazing. The festival was so cool. I got to learn a little bit about my heritage, and the festival was in this park in Hawaii that had these really cool trees, and it really. So once you get past all the buildings, there's this park with those trees that I'm mentioning, and then it feels like Hawaii when you get those trees. Mm-hmm. It's so sudden.
So what else happened to you while you were at this event?
Well, I got to watch it was very entertaining because the walk there was so gruesome. I had a hitchhike. I slept in a park. I took a nap and I woke up and these people were there and they fed me all this food. Like, I woke up and there's just a bunch of people there cooking food, and they gave me a huge plate full of it.
Where'd you wake up? So in Hawaii, did you have money when you went to Hawaii? So I know you've traveled the country a lot and you haven't had money. You've been just on this spiritual experience. But what was your adventure going into Hawaii? Tell us a little bit more. We're in storytelling mode. This is a storytelling podcast. I want the details.
Well, to get to Hawaii, I used money that I got from my taxes. I didn't have a job or anything, so I got that back, which allowed me to pay for a ticket for me and a ticket for my friend. And then maybe I had a little bit of food money that ended up getting stolen with a bunch of my other stuff.
So when these people were feeding you at this point, was your stuff stolen, or were you?
Oh yeah, my stuff was stolen pretty.
So
pretty
how'd your
early
stuff
on.
get stolen?
Well, so I got to Hawaii. I didn't know what to do, and somebody or something led me to North Shore in Oahu, which is a big place where a lot of people will sleep on the beaches, and there are people there who will go and feed people, like in the back of their truck. They'll just bring a bunch of food, and people will walk up,
Tailgating in the middle of the beach.
tailgating in a park, yeah, and feeding the homeless people like me. And I hitchhiked to the North Shore. So Hawaii's not a very big island. It doesn't take a while to. I mean, if you're walking, it does, but it's so close to the shore on each side.
So how long were you there before you got all your stuff stolen?
I was there for 3 or 4 days.
So you were there for 3 or 4 days. Were you like in a hotel? Were you camping?
I was not in a hotel. I was sleeping in bushes and trees and
So
under
you just
bridges.
went there with no resident plans. You just started.
Well,
sleeping
my
in
plan
bushes?
was to wolf, so I actually went to North Shore to look for wolfing farms, and all the farms there were full. Every single one of them was full. So I was like, oh god, so I didn't have anywhere to go. I slept on the beach because it was so. The first time I slept on the beach, I made a little fire, which was really nice. It was so nice. It was such a nice fire. It was a good break from all my walking, and so I made a fire, and the tide is way back, so far back. I make this fire, and a little crab walks up and sits on the opposite side and just shares the fire with me. So I'm like, okay, stay on your side. And I fall asleep, and I wake up, the crab is gone, and the water is basically touching the fire on the side that the crab was on. And if I didn't wake up before then, I would have gotten wet. So I woke up just in time enough to grab my bags and go back towards the edge of the beach under a bush where hopefully I wouldn't get rained on. The second time I slept on the beach, I slept underneath of a lifeguard station. I wake up in the middle of the night and there's somebody sleeping on the opposite side of it. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. But all right. So I fall back asleep and I wake up and I look over and the guy who was sleeping is like looking confused. And I look down and one of my bags is stolen with most of my stuff in it. My cell phone, my notepads, because I was writing in my journal, my, like any money that I had. And the guy was like, somebody just stole all my stuff. And I was like, me too. And so I tried to report it to a cop, which led to nothing.
The people always
did not help at
Hawaii
all.
All the time.
Did not help at all. I never found my stuff. Apparently they caught the guy, but they never found my stuff.
So this is after you lost all the stuff for the last season.
This is the end of it.
Oh, I was gonna say sounds like you've lost multiple seasons. We could have had multiple seasons.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. And so I had all my stuff stolen, and I had to try and I had to ask strangers to use their phones to like call my mom, who helped me get a food card, who helped get me food for a while, and then when that ran out, people would feed me. Like I said, was driving up to the beach at the park where I just woke up randomly. That worked out pretty magically. When I was at the Celtic festival, this dude helped me to, he had food. He also kind of looked like a homeless person, or maybe he was in it for a long time. And he had hot dogs or bratwurst or something. And he cooked them up and fed me. And that was really cool.
That's pretty neat. So you got fed throughout this experience. So while you were under the bridge, I believe, didn't you tell me that you had like a connection or like a like a spiritual angel experience or something. Was that while you were in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Okay. So when I was hitchhiking to the festival, I had a few days, and so I decided I needed somewhere to sleep, and there was a bridge that was like a really nice spot. I was like, that would be a perfect spot to sleep. And so I go there, and I have a jug of water, like half of a liter or half of a 2 liter or something. And I had a few peanut butter sandwiches. So I eat those up and I drink most of the water.
Just manifested some peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah, with the food cart I got some hot dog buns and PBJ.
I gotcha.
And then I just made up, and that I rationed them. But when I was under the bridge, I only had a few of them left, so I didn't have very many. And so I barely had any food. I barely had any water for 3 days, and I slept underneath of this bridge. And the whole time I was channeling this angel, because right before I found the bridge, I had been walking for days. My feet were tired. I was sleepy. I was like pissed off that I was suffering so much in Hawaii. And I climb up to this tree because I was like, well, I'm going to watch these horses, because I found horses and they make me feel better. So I go up to this tree and I sit on it and I just watch these horses. And then I start feeling this pinching on my hands. And I look down and there's a bunch of red ants all over my hands, all over the tree. And I jump off the tree, I shake off the ants, and I start crying. Tears, real tears. And I say, dear God, why have you put me in this situation? Why are you doing this to me? What is going on right now? And whatever. The universe, spirit, a voice came into my head. More of a thought was like, oh, I thought you could handle this. Can you not handle this? And it kind of straightened my spine a little bit, because I was being challenged. And, when I get challenged, I take it seriously. And I'm like, And then I just listened. And then God said, I'm going to send you an angel. And this angel is going to help you. I was like, okay. And this angel's name's Raphael. And so then right at that moment, Raphael came into my mind and started channeling thoughts back and forth to me, and led me to this bridge where I slept for 3 days. And in those 3 days, he led me in many journeys through my dreams, showed me the Council of 13. So during the day, it was like a channeling, and I was writing all this down, and maybe I wasn't writing it down because my journals got stolen, but it was so cool because he was teaching me about faith and about all these things. Maybe it happened before my stuff got stolen, on my way to Oahu, and I was writing it in my journal, and then that journal got stolen. I think that's what happened.
Regardless, you've had a lot of books just like disappear. It's like always after you have like intense spiritual experiences. Yeah. It's pretty wild. So tell us more about this Council of 13. What do you mean that he told you about the Council of 13? What's the Council of 13?
Yes. The Council of 13 is something it's been a mystery to me for a while. And I started thinking about the Council of 13 way after this. I had no idea what this was when it happened. But now I'm starting to connect the dots. The Council of 13 to me is a council of angels that help to watch over Earth. So this angel takes me in a dream, a very lucid dream that turned, I feel, into an astral projection, and took me to this spot in Hawaii. And it was a lot of sand, it was a lot of bushes. And in between was a clearing where they were all standing. And in the center was a giant holographic earth with red dots in different parts of the world.
What do you think those red dots were?
Hot spots that probably needed the most help and energy. And that's probably what they're doing, is sending energy to those spots.
Huh.
But I don't remember much of what happened then. I just remember everybody was in cloaks. They were all cloaked.
Interesting. I feel like I've had experiences with the Council of 13, but in different ways. Like they're spiritual guides that surround me and have connected through different dreams. And I call them dreams, but sometimes I feel like I've been awake when I've had the experiences. I've been having a lot of interesting connections with like the Council of 13 and other spiritual times where it's just like, it's almost like I zone out for like a second or so. And it doesn't feel like that much time passes in this reality, but it feels like a lot of time passes. Because you said that when you were speaking with Raphael, he was like downloading and channeling you this information.
Yeah.
Can you explain like how that worked? Did you see it? Did you feel it? Did you just feel like you understood it? Like, how does that work for you when you have these? Because you've had multiple kind of connections with angels, and I've been trying to explain. Yeah. People ask me all the time like how that feels.
Well, I guess it feels different in different times. Like with Raphael, it just felt really healing. I wouldn't say it felt like good and joyful, and it felt more healing. When I channel Archangel Michael, it feels more strong. I feel confident and strong. Sometimes I channel Source and I just feel this connection with all that is, everything in existence.
Do you feel like, so when you speak with them, do you feel like you just download information? Like how do you understand the energy?
Most of the time, it's through thought. It's through thinking. So they send me this thought, and I've been able to pick up on the vibration of their thought, because my thoughts have a different vibration. And you can kind of feel your vibration by letting go of all other sensations and just feeling the little, very slight buzzing of your body. And when it gets a little bit stronger, then you know it's a little bit higher. That's a little bit higher thought form. And it also just has a different feel than your own thoughts, which you can strengthen that by just becoming aware of it, by trying to consciously feel your own thoughts. And it just takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. So yeah.
I feel like I see a lot of it, but when I say I see it, it's just like, it's almost like it flashes before my internal eyes, like my third eye, I guess, like so quick that it's not that I actually like see it play out. And you were describing like seeing the Council of 13, and like I feel like I could see them as you described it, even without that much detail. But I could see and understand it. And in my own visual, I saw it in like such vivid detail, but so fast. It's intuition and like visionary experiences are so intriguing to me. People ask me all the time, like, how do you know what's your imagination, and how do you know what's real? And I'm like, well, how's anything real? Like everything I perceive is different than how someone else perceives it. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling too, is storytelling is always going, like the story's always going to be perceived differently. Something else is going to stick out to somebody else.
Yeah. I love how in The Matrix, when Morpheus is trying to convince Neo of everything, and he's like, if what you consider real is what you can see and taste, touch, etc., then real is just simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. And so your brain is interpreting signals when you're in your thoughts, when you're in your imagination. And that's why visualization is so powerful, because it's activating your brain. And science is continuing to prove that our consciousness directly affects our physical realities.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people meditate to like heal themselves, and there's the law of attraction and just that ability to really think yourself into a situation. But that's how we understand and other people too, and how they perceive us. Like how someone else sees us is completely different than how we see them, or like see the story. That's why there's always so many different perspectives to any one given story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, storytelling, it's so interesting.
It's crazy it is crazy to think of all the people that know you have a different perspective on who you are. And so there's a million different versions of you, and there's an infinite amount of timelines of you being a different character.
And how every decision and choice that we make kind of affects that timeline too.
Yeah.
That's where card reading becomes kind of hard, and like the intuitive readings I do. I have to remind people all the time, like I can give them a reading about the choices that they want to make, or like what the current trajectory is. But if they change one little perspective of it, the whole timeline can shift. That's why it's like, it's not fortune telling, it's like energy reading. It's reading the situation in that moment, or understanding a perspective more than saying like this X, Y, and Z is going to happen, because there's so many different timeline perspectives out there.
Yeah. There's a video game that came out on the original Xbox, and it was called Fable. And I used to love playing that game, because every decision that you made would change your character a little bit each time. So there was like an infinite amount of timelines that you could create in this video game, and I just thought it was so cool. And it was, it's kind of, it's a reflection of reality. Every decision you make puts you on a whole new timeline.
I mean, you even played a game recently that was kind of like that. You were like, oh, I have to go back and play a different level because...
Oh, that's Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, like you were like, oh, I have to go do this other thing because I think there's a different ending. Like just because you didn't complete a certain task or gather all of the things, you didn't remember a certain part. And I think that's kind of how life is too. Mm-hmm. Like you have certain tasks, and depending on what your choices are, it takes you down a different timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fascinating how this world, plays out with that. But so interesting.
Yeah, and I think storytelling is important because we can learn from others' adventures or their mistakes or their experiences. Like I love hearing about your connection to angels. That's why I was asking like how it feels, because again, for me, sometimes I feel like I see this bright light, or like I feel this energy or entity or whatever that I describe as an angel, because it feels protective. Like you said, it feels warm or like confident. But then you just kind of like know things. There's like what I call them spiritual downloads, where you just understand things in a different way. Sometimes you'll wake up and you'll just feel like a different person that day. Like maybe you're ready to create a new piece of art or take on a new fitness routine, or you decide that maybe you understand that you want to go on an adventure or learn a new language. And it's usually inspired because you've asked the universe to show you your path, and your angels have like opened this new channel of direction for you and lead you down a path of synchronicity. I think that we can learn those different things too by sharing stories so that people understand what types of synchronicities and adventures, or like things don't just happen by chance, and we can learn it through seeing the routines or happenings through other people's experiences as well.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of knowledge and wisdom within stories, and stories keep the world going. there's so many. That's why books, since the beginning of, but written books are not just a fad. They've been here for so long and they're not going anywhere.
It's true. I mean, you're writing a couple of books right now. I hope that they get finished at some point so you can share them with them. But you have one. You have a book out that it's like short stories.
Oh yeah, I have 3 short stories in one book called Stories That Are Short, and
so creepy.
So the worst reviews I got on the book were you have no pictures and your title sucks. But the rest of them are like
got a lot of good reviews.
The rest of them are about the actual stories. Love them. Yeah. So there's 3 of them. One's about an old man who is wondering why he's still on Earth.
I actually really like that one. I've used that one as an example several times in my classes and even readings. I think it's a cute one, and it's a story that I think more people should hear.
Yeah, it is a cute story, and I really like how I portrayed the God character in it because I was still pretty young when I wrote it. I wasn't really into all that I am right now. So it was interesting to look back and read, how I portrayed that character. But it's a really good story. There's another one where I wrote about a time where there's only a few people left on Earth, and they go and try to find out what happened. And then there's another one about a boy who finds out that nothing is everything, and he goes and explores what that is.
One. I really like that one too.
Yeah, that one is a good one. I wanted to write something really unique, but not very long, and it could be a children's story, but also adults could enjoy it because it was so different.
Is that the one with the wiggles and dots?
Yep, it's the one with the wiggles and squiggles and squishes and I wrote that one so fast. I wrote it within just a few minutes, but
it's a really cute story.
It is.
So how can people find your story? Where can people go find your short stories?
Well, you can go on Barnes and Noble. They're on Goodreads, I believe, smashwords.com, and you can type in stories that are short, and they're under my birth name because that's how long ago I wrote it, Christopher Clausen.
Cute. We'll have to find a way to link them to something for you.
Yeah, I'll put a link for the book in the description. It's free to download. Cool.
So you've also been creating some other content. We've talked a lot about stories, but something else that I think is also kind of connected to stories is music and documenting music and the progression of music and how much it's changed. And you've been creating a lot of I like to call it mixed media music because it's electronic, but you're using instruments that I've seen you record, and you've taken the time to create the melodies and the storylines within the creations that you're working on. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about what you've got going on and how people can find it.
Yes. So I've been finishing up a few CDs of older music that I just printed, and now I'm starting to work on new music where I really want to be more involved in the creation of it. So instead of using something that's already been made and kind of orchestrating it and putting it together, I'm creating my own beats. I'm using my own instruments in the songs, and just making sure that I've created the whole entire song. All the sounds and everything that you hear will be stuff that I've created, and I've started using my voice. And so the live instruments, my voice, making my own beats, and it's all stuff that I'm kind of new to still, but I'm really excited because the song that I've recently created, I feel like it's a really good song, and if it's good, and I've just started with this path that I'm on now, then hopefully it will take me in a good direction.
Yeah, you've played it for a couple people. You've got some good feedback. I feel like you've had a lot of good role models in the producer and musical roles.
Yeah.
Got a lot of great leaders. We've met a lot of amazing people that do music through Bring Me to Life Radio, which if you're listening, you should totally check out Bring Me to Life Radio, because that's where we feature so many high vibe, conscious musicians. We have all different genres. And that's kind of where we're record keepers in a way. We've got lots of stories in the articles. We've got the radio where we've got all kinds of musicians featured. We have the archive from back when we first started the radio. So there's all different kinds of radio playlists. And then in the podcast, so this is season 6, but we have literally like over 100 interviews with amazing people throughout our experience. It's crazy to think that we've been doing Bring Me to Life together for 5 years. Whoa.
5 years, season 6, and it's great. We're still doing it.
Yeah, and you were talking about your new music, but I want you to talk a little bit about, you just released some CDs. You got some CDs happening?
Yeah, so I had been requested to make more meditation music CDs. I have a bunch of guided meditation CDs, but someone wanted more just music, so I had a bunch of music. I had a few CDs that I had put together, but just needed a few more things to be able to print them out and have legit CDs for them.
People still collect CDs.
Yeah, so
People love it.
They do love it, and it's just nice to have a physical CD in your hand. And there's a lot of vehicles that still use CD players.
Definitely. I mean, I like when I do a pop-up delivery of jewelry. Sometimes people hit me up and be like, hey, can you meet me here? I need this necklace like for this person's birthday right now. And I'll be like, if I can. But when I did today, it was really cool. The lady was like, please tell Selo that I listen to his meditations and he's got such a soothing voice. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make sure I tell him. Because I remember one time somebody like commented on your YouTube and was like, your voice is terrible for meditation. And everybody's like, what? Like, no. I don't know. They're crazy. I think your voice is great for meditation.
It was an experience that kind of drives me to be more conscious and try and make it even more soothing every time I do it.
Yeah, I love it. So you have a couple new CDs coming out that's mostly meditative music. You've got a couple of guided meditation CDs already. You and I have one that's a chakra CD that goes with my chakra class. So you've got all kinds of music and CDs out there. I love that. So we're going to have them on bringmetolife.com/Shelamon.com so that people can find them. It's going to be exciting. I also have them on my website, which is a merch website for all kinds of things. We have our jewelry on my website. We have his CDs. I also have like incense, lots of crystals. So I love crystals. Fun story. I've always wanted somebody that loved crystals and making jewelry as much as me. And I don't know if he loves it as much as me, but Selo has been rocking the jewelry. I'm really excited. We just created some new earrings, and I know you guys can't see them, but I'm rocking them.
Yeah, I really enjoy hammering the metal. That's been really nice. As long as I have a spot where I can hammer that, is not bouncing around, then I'm happy.
Looks and feels like a real metalsmith.
Yeah.
It's been really cool. We've been doing a lot of copper forming. We're getting more into the manipulation of the metal. Feels like alchemy, and just, I don't know. There's something about seeing the excitement of people when they get a new piece. And you just sent out a couple pieces to California recently?
Yep, California.
Awesome. Shout out to those awesome supporters.
Yeah, Belle.
You guys are great. So, yeah, you can check out our jewelry. I have all kinds of ways to get to my website. The easiest way to get to the jewelry is shineshopping.online. You can also find out more about me at shantasticshine.com. I'm currently running some different classes. They're going awesome. Thank you guys for always being so supportive of all the things we do. I feel like by the time this podcast releases, Selo will be just getting done True Abundance again. So you could check out the Meditation Guild.
Yeah, go to the Meditation Guild.
Watch
Look
the
up
reruns.
at the announcements and do the True Abundance meditations. I think they're all really great, and they'll all be really helpful for your life. And abundance could be an abundance of love, energy, time, money,
You
friends,
have so many great
faith,
meditations.
spirituality.
You have so many great meditations.
Yeah.
Like people always ask me, like, which meditation should I do? And I'm like, just go to Suleiman's page, scroll down, and find the first one that really speaks to you, and just do one of them. They're all so awesome and like relaxing. You do a lot of really good live ones. I like those too. But yeah, so find out if you need some meditation time. Go to the Meditation Guild.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I think that we need to throw out more of the things that you do. You do some awesome things.
Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to get better at promoting them. Putting myself out there.
Shameless self-promotion. I mean, that's why we're doing what we do. We're grateful for you. Thanks for listening. I think this has been a pretty solid episode.
You out there. I see you. Not physically, but spiritually, energetically. I see you. I love
Hopefully
you.
we see you in the Bring Me to Life Challenge Facebook group, where we have a community building and commenting, talking about stories. Selo shared one of his angel stories today. Hop in there and share one of your angel stories with us. Have you been to Hawaii? We want to hear about it. You can talk to us about it in the Bring Me to Life Challenge on Facebook. We are working on some sort of communication page on the website. If you haven't yet, you can also check out the new website, bringmetolife.com. We got some articles.
Oh, yeah.
We've got easy links to some videos. Bring Me Life TV, Bring Me Life Radio. Brum, brum, brum.
Japan sandwich games are good.
Just giving you guys all the reminders here at the end. We don't like to have to do too many commercials, but we know there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, if you're still
and
listening,
we
then
love
you're
you.
probably interested in what? Yep.
Interested in all of it. Awesome. We'll see you in Bring Me to Life Challenge on Facebook. Check out bringmetolife.com. I think you're great. I hope you stay awake and shine on always.
Bye.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.